Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Thursday, March 21st, 2024. Welcome to day 1157. The Biden administration announced it will cancel nearly $6 billion in federal student loans for 78,000 Americans through the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. The latest student debt cancellation allows eligible borrowers to have their remaining debt forgiven if they've made a certain number of payments and are working for approved employers, which includes teachers, nurses, and firefighters. An additional 380,000 borrowers in the public sector are 1 to 2 years away from qualifying for the same debt forgiveness. So far, in total, the Biden administration has canceled $144 billion of federal student loan debt for nearly 4 million borrowers. Meanwhile, congressional leaders released details of their $1.2 trillion deal to fund the government and avoid a partial government shutdown. The package would fund roughly 3/4 of the federal government for the next 6 months, including defense, homeland security, financial services, and health agencies. The House plans to vote on the package on Friday, meaning lawmakers will need to waive a rule giving members 72 hours to consider legislation before voting on it. Rand Paul and other Senate conservatives have threatened to slow the swift passage of the bill by introducing amendments, and government funding expires at midnight on Friday. Moving on, New York Attorney General Letitia James took her first step towards seizing Trump's golf club and private estate in Westchester County, formally entering the judgments with the clerk's office. James said she's prepared to start seizing assets if Trump misses the March 25th deadline to post the $454 million bond he owes for the civil fraud judgment she won against him. Trump's attorneys claim that it's a practical impossibility for him to get the more than $350 million he owes, plus roughly $100 million in interest by the deadline. Trump asked the appeals court to pause the judgment, saying 30 bonding companies have turned him down and that he'll be forced to sell properties in a fire sale to raise the money if the court doesn't waive the bond or allow him to post a smaller one for $100 million. Meanwhile, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said no further delay in Trump's hush money trial is warranted and that fewer than 300 of the some 200,000 documents turned over to Trump's lawyers are relevant to the criminal case. Last week, Judge Juan Merchan delayed the March 25th start of Trump's hush money case by at least 20 days to give Trump's lawyers time to review the records. Trump had asked the judge to dismiss the indictment and delay the trial for 90 days, claiming prosecutors withheld information from them about the federal prosecution of Michael Cohen. Bragg, however, told Merchan there was nothing in the material that should push the start of the trial past mid-April, saying enough is enough. Trump faces 34 charges of falsifying business records in connection with a hush money payment to Stormy Daniels during the 2016 presidential election. And finally, the United States submitted a draft resolution to the United Nations calling for an immediate and sustained ceasefire in Gaza tied to the release of Israeli hostages. The UN Security Council is expected to vote on the resolution on Friday morning. The draft resolution says the Security Council determines the imperative of an immediate and sustained ceasefire to protect civilians on all sides, allow for the delivery of essential humanitarian assistance, and alleviate humanitarian suffering, and towards that end unequivocally supports ongoing international diplomatic efforts to secure such a ceasefire in connection with the release of all remaining hostages. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, meanwhile, said the gaps are narrowing between Israel and Hamas to get a temporary ceasefire in exchange for the release of hostages, but he conceded that there's still real challenges. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditis.